It's time for your next favorite episode of the Integratedness Podcast with Jason and Jolene.
This is it, folks. The season finale of the Integratedness Podcast with Jason and Jolene. I'm Jason, by the way.
And I'm Jolene.
And we're talking, it's funny because this is the end of the season, but we're talking expansion because there's a whole other season coming in the fall.
Yeah. So what do we do when we, I always have to remind myself when I'm intention setting that when I ask for bigger and bolder and expansion, I am not meaning my waistline. Fuck. Okay, nailed that this year.
That's a good thing for all of us to remember, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about waistline, but we could utilize that as an example. What happens when we outgrow what we are in?
Yes.
We can expand, just like when you have to repot your plants, just like when you can't fit in your pants.
Pants and plants rhyme.
Right? This is a Dr. Seuss episode. But essentially, what does that mean? Are we then required to expand? And when we expand, we go from being at the top level. It's like when we raise a tax bracket. We go from being the top level of something to the bottom level of the next stage, which is also a bit of it feels like a backward spin, like a demotion sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But you are essentially one step higher, one rung higher in the ladder, whatever that be, right? In the spiral, whatever.
Sorry, I suddenly got a song stuck in my head.
Oh, which one?
I can't remember the title of it. That's the problem. But it's
what are the lyrics?
Like one step closer to the setting sun. It's just it started going through my head, and I'm just like, wow, okay.
Sailor J
by a band called Saigon Kick.
There we go. Somebody Google
90s.
that,
yeah.
and you can. That's the end of our episode right there.
We're done.
Done. So that, and I mean, this for me, for Jolene Dawn Counseling and Consulting is a big deal. So I was renting office space from a clinic. It was a midwife clinic. And I only needed it a couple days a week because I did the rest from home virtual. And it was just a lovely little in-between space for me. I have always had a goal of having a larger clinic. I just recognize my life is busy and there's other things. And I like to do a good job wherever I am, right? So it was on my list. And I kept looking for, anyways, I can't rent that office space anymore because they're expanding with more midwives and doctors and stuff. So I started looking for space and I had a decent amount of time. So I wasn't worried because I could always just operate from home temporarily until I found one. And I just could not find single-use space anywhere that was appropriate for counseling and stuff. So Kevin and I kept talking and I was like, well, maybe I'll look for one or two offices. And then I couldn't really find much of that. And he was like, you can go big. You know that, right? And I was like, I could, but I just don't know if I have capacity. And
well, do you want to? That's a question you got to ask yourself.
Yeah,
it's important.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's like, no, think about it. Think about what your plan is. Think about what your vision is. Like, you don't have to wait for that. Like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I don't know. Partially support hype guys, right? He's my hype guy and he totally supports me. And I know that's a big reason why I was able to step into this easier than just in my own idea of like, here's my goal. So I really want to emphasize that part. But essentially, I found like a 6 office space and I'm running a clinic now, guys.
Because now, did you have someone come in?
Because I needed an office.
But you've got someone already who's joined too, I
have quite a few people. I mean, by now I do.
Yeah.
While we're recording right now, the applications have been coming in because I want to find the right people for the space. I really wanted the space to be utilized. But when we talked about the abundance theory last week and how I said, oh yeah, this also fueled a lot of my vision. I paid a lot off the top when I was an associate at a place and it was a lot of money. And as a single mom, that was really valuable because that was time away from my kids. It was time away from creation for content for you guys, like all of that stuff. I was like, I want to do more, but I can't free up my time because I'm having to make more in order to maintain, right? Because every time I made more, I gave more.
Yeah, which there's something fucked up about that.
Yeah, right? So I just was like, I know this model doesn't work for me, but I don't know a way out of it yet. So that's why when I started just renting an office space, it was lovely. So that is what the model is. And people get to rent the office space from me. I could have associates and take thousands off the top monthly from people, like every other clinic in town. They all run on a revenue sharing model. But that's not my model because I don't believe in that. I really want other people to succeed, to grow, to be able to create the business they want to create without the boundaries that finances keep in place, right? I've got single moms, I've got family people, I've got people with big visions and like more desire for work-life balance. It's beautiful.
That's exciting. That's super exciting.
If I did not believe that there was enough for everyone, I'd be so selfish and worried to control that. Right? I would be like, ooh, everyone who's under me, I don't want them to take all the clients or all the wealth. I want to take more of it. Right?
You'd be like Mr. Burns.
Oh my God. Like, well, and many clinics operate this way, and it works because that's what people in this industry have to operate under because there's nothing else. Well, now there is.
Now there is. There's something new.
Is. And you get the brand and you get the referrals and you get the mentorship and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But really, you get to be in and be a part of, because other people will benefit from them, this larger collective where everyone's chasing their own dreams together and egging each other on.
That's cool.
It's fucking awesome.
Good for you, Jolene. I think that's awesome. I mean, when you first talked about it like weeks ago now, I thought it was a good idea. And it's neat to see that all come together for you.
Yes. And for me, it's because it's so consistent with that vision, right? And I know this because I experienced it and I know how valuable a resource and a model like this can be. And also as a business owner, I think there's way more opportunity for retention and long-term happiness of individuals, right? Because most of the time in a revenue sharing clinic, they will establish people until they move out on their own and then they create the same thing for themselves because they go, oh, I could make so much more money if I had people under me giving me a percentage of their income. And why don't I go do that now? And you're always turning over, which is lovely for businesses who want to do that.
Yep.
I want longevity. I want growth and stability for people and, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if things are going to turn, they're going to turn and free up a door for somebody else essentially. But, why are we always having to look for the next thing to fit us when you could essentially have no roof on it and you could just go as big as you want to go and grow as big as you want to grow and nothing's going to put a cap on that for you.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that is a big piece of like what expansion looks like for me. But I also had to expand my mind, and very quickly, Kevin made me expand that more because this one wasn't even off the ground before he talked to me about bigger ideas. And he's always really careful not to do that. He has such a vast mind for these things, and I get stuck in the details of it. He's like, the details are easy, babe. And I'm like, they're not for me.
Yeah.
He's
Some
like,
people are more detail oriented than
he can rip through the policy and the administrative stuff, no problem. For me, that's what I get tangled in.
Yeah.
No. Just jump over all of that and get like to the big vision. So even that, it was like, I haven't even finished stepping into an expansion and you're giving me more expansion options. Wait a sec. But this is where Dream Big comes in. It really is, and I think about my bucket list years ago when I was like, oh, I'm dreaming big. And then like a couple of years ago, I had to go, oh my gosh, like I'm hitting so many of these. Like I'm really going to have to like put some bigger things on here. Like it's wild. And once we start asking for more, we typically start seeing more, and not asking for more because we're unsatisfied and we're chasing. There is a difference. Asking and being open to more. We will keep expanding.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's, it is a mindset. And I think in our society, it's funny. We live in a society where they tell you can kind of do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's a big message that we're given, but you're also presented with societal roadblocks to that every step of the way. So it's like the world wants us to kind of think big and go there. But I think, as we talked about this a bit last episode, the people that are kind of at the top of that don't want to share it.
In a sense,
right?
Yep, absolutely.
So you got people kind of ping, keep consistently hitting a wall.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really great reflection part for somebody to notice in their lives.
Yep.
What areas of your life have a roof on them? Where you can find, where are you only allowed to go so high? Most people, it's their job.
Yeah.
I am only allowed to make this much money. I'm at the top of my pay bracket. I'm only allowed to work this many hours, right? And like, that's an area you're stuck. Where is an area that you're not stuck? Well, maybe that one you have to because it's what you got. But where else in your life can you make yourself limitless, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. For some reason, like having children is coming to mind, right? Like, sorry, you're only allowed to have 2. Now you can't have more. And it's like, okay, well, how can you satisfy this need that you might have? Where can you become limitless, right? Like, well, maybe you work with children somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe you know, whatever that be kind of thing. But essentially, look at the areas of your life, because if you have a lid on multiple areas of your life, man, that's going to suppress so much. It really makes me think about last week's episode when I said how many like women were out there with unmet dreams.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think they had a lot of lids.
I think so. I think a lot of guys do too as well.
I think
It put it on top of them. Yeah, there's a generation that had that. Did everybody want to work at Weyerhaeuser for 35 years?
No, but
right?
Well, they did, because they knew if they didn't, they would be a result of whatever the risk of the depression
exactly,
was that
right?
they were raised in,
but
right?
Deep down, I'm sure there's people that wanted to do 1,000 different things, right? Like, and just didn't.
But they chose the best option.
Yeah, for them at the time.
Yeah,
but then I'm
absolutely.
sure towards the end of life, there was some, oh shit, I wish I'd have done that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? Which doesn't always apply in the moment, because there wouldn't have been stability, there wouldn't have been safety, there would have been more risk, and recognizing we make the choices we make when we do, because that's what we got.
Well, and I look at like my own experience. Like right now, I am doing what I wanted to do 30 years ago, but couldn't because there wasn't the technology and the opportunity to do it. So I did a bunch of other things, but none of those other things hindered what I'm doing now. In fact, they've all contributed. I've learned all the skill set I need to do what I'm doing now. Like, so there's ways through it. If you're kind of in tune with yourself in a way and know kind of where your end goal is.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. And I often will do like a little, and you would have done this in your career work, but when I'm helping people kind of on their alignment path and making, like, really, they're like, I'm like 55 and I still don't want to know what I want to do when I grow up, right? And they're still trying to really find that, like, that groove where they're aligned. And I tell people, well, let's look at your work history and let's pull out all the transferable skills. You know what? When you, like, I always talk about myself. I sold Mary Kay since I was like 17 to get the good deal, right? To get myself a deal, but also to learn how to run a business.
Yeah.
And then I always had a side business. Is that helping me now? Absolutely. I sold jeans at a clothing store for many years. Does that help me now? Yeah, because I also have to sell and market myself now.
Yep.
And I also was a mental health worker and a social worker and all these things. Does that help me now? Obviously. But I also was a dance teacher. And my truest desire when I was younger was to be a hairdresser and a dance teacher, right? I mean, hairdresser, counselor, pretty damn close. And I look good while I do it. And then the dance teacher part, I love teaching. So I get asked to do things all the time. And I did in my government job around training and things like that. But that's what my workshops are, right? I've been asked to host things. I've been asked to do professional development days. I'm doing a lot more public speaking stuff this year and getting out to the masses, which is also an expansion piece of how do I get my voice heard by more than the one person in my office? That's what this podcast is. So what my social media is, that's what these public events are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also a part of the expansion for yourself. It's your documentaries, it's your books, right?
Yeah.
How do you hit the masses?
Yeah, and I'm lucky that I've aligned with a company that's really good at that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I honestly, for the first time in my life, I no longer want to expand. I just kind of need to maintain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I've gone as far as I really have ever wanted to go with
Yeah.
stuff.
But you need that to carry it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do more.
No, I just want to get better at what I do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And most of the time when we expand, we think that it's more. We think that it might be more risky, but sometimes it's less risky, right? Like I remember Kevin explaining to me, he's like, well, you know, if you had 15 offices, if one office wasn't filled, there's way less risk than if you have 3 offices and one isn't filled. And I was like, that was like a profound moment for me because he's such a business brain, right?
Yeah.
I would have never thought of that. I would have thought like 15. Oh my gosh. No, it makes total sense. You got 12 eggs, you drop one on the floor, you can still make lunch.
That's why contractors don't just develop like 2 lots, they develop like 30 lots. So if a few of them take a long time to sell, you've still made enough money.
That makes sense.
Right?
See, do we know all of these little nuances?
We pick these things up along the way.
So I guess you guys probably knew that. Hey. So have a look at your life. Look at the last 5 years. Really, 5 years. So many people have expanded, whether that's in their frame of reference in their mind, whether it's in their network system, whether it's in their desire, maybe what they're wanting and they're achieving, or they're expanding themselves into new horizons. What does that look like for you? Where do you feel like you can expand, and where do you feel restricted? Like, if you don't know where you can expand, ask yourself, where am I restricted?
Yeah.
Because you might not know where you want to go, but you know where you can't.
Yeah. That's actually a good way to look at it, right?
And I remember, I always know when I feel that restriction. Maternity leaves were always one of those things. Like, I had big ideas. I had all these things I wanted to do. But the reality is I was restricted in so much, like, demand from my babies and, time and energy and all those things, right? So I felt a lot of restriction, so just looking at some of that in your life as well. Like, right now you've been expanded into another area to help a friend out, but where does that then restrict you in some ways too, right?
Means a couple days a week I'm not doing the other stuff, basically. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's fair enough.
It's all good.
It's all good,
but
right?
you got to give from somewhere to get something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you just figure that out. And I'm lucky that in the primary work I do, there's like ebbs and flows of stuff. So there'll be periods where we've just completed filming something, so I got to get the material categorized and scripted and off to the editor quickly. Because the longer you wait, the harder it is to remember. Then you got to review it even more, right? So those periods will just be very busy with the two, that plus the other demand. And then there's periods where I'll just be doing the stuff for my friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. And you kind of stack it, you prioritize it in any of those ways, right? So for us, Jason, this is the end of season 3. Like, I can't even remember the end of season 2.
We talked with Julie McHugh was the two-parter that ended season 2.
Oh, and season 1 was grief.
Yes, we finally talked about grief, and because we danced around it the whole season.
Does not feel like 2 years ago.
No, it doesn't, does it?
That's wild.
That's crazy.
One of our big goals, and we have told you guys this before, and this is where our fabulous website is a big part of that. We are on YouTube as well, so if you want to just play us on your big screen, please do.
I think inevitably, that was my little Bugs Bunny reference there, we need to expand into actual video.
I know.
Not just a graphic.
Do you know what we need to do? We just need to put 2 fucking cameras up here and press record the same time we're pressing record on this. It's not hard.
No, it's not hard.
Why are we delaying this? Guys, why are we delaying
this? Because someone has to edit it, Jolene.
Oh! Hey, does anybody need... Here. This is our thing, right? Because we often have to ask for help, and that is a hard thing that we got to do, right?
Yeah.
So... does anybody want to have does anyone have a editing program where they need practical experience?
Yes.
And you want to dabble in getting some really great content you can then use as your demo tape?
Well, because that's what it's going to take.
This is how you're going to sell yourself to someone else. Yeah. Look at what I did with these 2 kick-ass podcasters and their fucking fabulous podcast. Look what I did for them.
Yes, because I could do it, but I don't have the time, and my editor doesn't have the time.
And here's the thing. If you did it, Jason, you would take away someone else's opportunity
That's right.
to monopolize on this and use it as their next step into greatness.
Exactly.
You don't need an editing career.
No, I don't.
You're good. Yes. I don't need an editing career. I'm good. Someone out there needs an editing career. And if that's you, reach out to us.
Yes.
We will work something out. I love that, because the more we dilute ourselves and take away from what we're really good at, right? This is where I'm I could clean the space. It's probably nothing for me, but where am I better utilized?
Well, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Where am I better utilized? Where are we better utilized? Because guaranteed, there is someone out there that would do a 10 times better job than us.
Oh, and probably quicker.
Enjoy it better, quicker. And you know what? They deserve this amazing material to work with.
I concur. So yes, hit us up over the summer.
If you're interested in expansion in your realm and you're I've just never had the guts to ask anybody Jason and Jolene are just such a big deal. They're too big for me to ask. But it's right. They need to go on YouTube. They need to have their gorgeous radio faces put on video. If that's you, reach out.
Yeah, because we can provide this opportunity for you right there. And that's when you watch certain, like the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck podcast and all these other ones, it's so much more... I just can become more engaged when I can watch it.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean?
There is so much shit that happens behind the scenes here, guys, that you would be laughing and smiling right now if you could see our faces.
Yeah.
Right?
It would work really well.
It's true, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, like half of my nonverbal communication giving this podcast is the entertaining part, right?
Oh, exactly.
Well, right?
Exactly.
Like, he's always like rolling his eyes at me.
It's like, Jesus Christ, Jolene.
He's like clipping his toenails while I'm talking forever. Just kidding.
You'd also have a lot of fun watching us actually do the Drunken Christmas episode.
I know, right? Well, we could find a whole nother space to do that. You could actually come and video us around like Jason's fire or something, right?
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
very Euler.
That is also, we're throwing it out there. We are having a vision. We are letting you know what our expansion ideas are. And that, through that, it actually expands the opportunity for season 4. Mm-hmm. In terms of how and what kind of interviews we can start doing too. I think about Rick and I think about Claire. Think about how cool it would have been to have them on video with us as an offering, right? We had the luxury of like seeing and witnessing them as they were telling their story. You guys didn't, and I do think that that's powerful, right?
Oh, for sure. It always is. The
connection.
Yeah. Video just creates a whole other layer of connection.
Yeah, it totally does. So we really want to tap into that because that's also what makes our information hit a little deeper and more meaningful too, when you guys can see our gorgeous mugs.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you'd probably get a courtesy mug too.
Yes, we would. We'd provide you with courtesy mugs. It's only fair.
Oh my God, I love it. So on that, I'm going to plug myself, Jolene Dawn Counseling and Consulting Clinic, with other folks working around me. Keep the eyes out for bigger expansions to come.
Yes.
But that's what I got to wrap up season 3.
Yeah, I got there's more stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
Keep watching Jason's
Keep
drop.
watching. So yeah, we are back in the fall. We usually hit around October.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll do September.
Maybe we'll do September. Just depends what happens this summer.
Yep.
And if the video thing happens, how long that takes. You got to do it in advance, right? So much in advance.
I love that. And maybe one of our like midsummer episodes, if we ever decide to do one, would be, hey guys, here's us trying to record with this new video
system.
Let's check out the edit. I love it.
So keep watching our Instagram page and our personal pages where we'll let you know about that kind of stuff as it comes up.
Yep. And we will still take guest requests on our website for season 4.
Yes, I have a couple in mind already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to miss you guys.
All right. Have an awesome summer. Stay safe out there. And until next time.
Chow mein noodles.